Hey everyone, in today's video, we are talking all about phonemic awareness. Now, as primary educators, we know that phonemic awareness is such an important component to teaching students to read, and there's so many different phonemic awareness activities that we can do with our kids. I have plenty of videos with phonological awareness, phonemic awareness, and even some phonics activities, but in today's video, I want to talk about 5 things you need to keep top of mind when doing any phonemic awareness activity. Each and every one of you watching this video right now is doing phonemic awareness activities with your students in some type of way. So in this video, I'm not going to go over each and every phonemic awareness activity that you can do. In fact, if you want to see a video about that, let me know down in the comments. I can kind of go through a scope and sequence of phonemic awareness activities if you think that will be helpful, so let me know down there. But this video is going to focus on things you can do or things that you should keep, again, top of mind with any phonemic awareness activity that you're doing, whether it's phoneme segmenting, phoneme blending, manipulation, anything. If you're ready to hear these 5 tips, give this video a like, subscribe to my channel, and let's get started. All right, tip number 1 when teaching phonemic awareness to your students, I think is the most important one and is probably the one that is overlooked the most by teachers. So tip number 1 is your primary focus when teaching phonemic awareness is to teach students specific phonemes and how they feel in the mouth. Of course, as we're walking our students through these phonemic awareness activities, we are doing them, in a scope and sequence. We're starting with CVC words, then we might work up with some digraphs and blends, so on and so forth. So there's going to be different skills and different phonemes you are teaching your students as you're doing these, but it's important that as you teach new skills, you're really focusing on teaching students where they make those sounds in their mouth. Since there aren't any letters or graphemes involved when you're doing phonemic awareness, this is a great time for you, the teacher, to show students exactly where the sound is made in their mouth and then also watch them. You can really tell a lot from the way a student produces a word. For example, the P and B sound, P and B, are both made at the very front of the mouth, and they are made by putting the lips together. So sometimes your students are going to confuse those sounds, whether they hear them at the beginning of a word or at the end of the word, and it's important for you to show them how to make each one. There are many different sounds in the English language that students get confused, so it is really helpful to them for them to see you make the sound properly, for you to tell them exactly where that sound is made in the mouth, and then also it's really helpful to have a mirror available for your students as well. So especially in a small group, if you're noticing some students getting tricked up on a few sounds, make it your focus to teach them where that sound is made and have them look in a mirror and make that sound so they can see it too. That way students will know when they're making a sound, this is what it should look like and this is what it should feel like when it's coming out of my mouth. And again, that, where the sounds are made in your mouth, more than anything, should be the primary focus of your phonemic awareness activities. Tip number 2 in teaching phonemic awareness is to keep it quick. Most of your students are going to benefit from 5 to 10 minutes of phonemic awareness activities every single day. So it should be fast and quick, but it also needs to be consistent. So you don't want to, spend 45 minutes every Friday doing phonemic awareness activities. You really want your students to have a little practice each and every day. And of course, your students that are struggling a little bit or might need help with some specific phonemic awareness activities or some certain phonics skill that they're stuck on, you will pull them for a small group and they'll get a little bit more, which is perfectly fine. But everyone in your class should have 5 to 10 minutes every day. Tip number 3 is to make it multi-sensory. Now again, each phonemic awareness activity is slightly different, but let's pretend we are working on segmenting phonemes in CVC words. This is how it will normally sound. I'm going to say the word bat. You repeat after me, bat. Let's see how many phonemes or sounds are in the word bat. B, a, t. Can you do it? B, a, t. How many different sounds did we hear? B, a, t. 3 different sounds. That would be a quick example of what that looks like when I am doing this with my class. And again, if you're doing this 5 to 10 minutes every single day, as you should be, you can do a lot of that having students tap it out. That's a little bit of multisensory there, where they're actually tapping something. They're not just doing it in their head, but there's some other ways you can do this as well. Let me show you. To make phonemic awareness activities multisensory, it can actually be pretty simple. All you need is some tools. So we can use things like cubes, we can use things like colored paper, you can use Play-Doh. I shared that in my sight word video that students can actually tactilely smush down for each sound that they hear. But essentially the activity will run exactly the same. You will want to do it exactly the same way too when you're adding in a new material like a manipulative. So you would say, I'm gonna say the word bat. You guys repeat it, bat. Let's see how many phonemes or sounds are in the word bat. B-at. But that's how I did it in the video before, right? We tapped it out, and you can have students see how to do that first to remind them of what we're used to. And then you'll tell them, okay, we're going to move up a cube for each sound you hear. B-at. How many sounds? 3, bat. Good, let's put it down. Now I'm gonna say the word cat. You repeat, cat. Let's move up a cube for each sound we hear. K-a-t. Again, 3 sounds. As my students are developing, so if they're already working on phoneme segmentation like we're doing right here, I do like to have another cube down here, another option, in case we move to a sound with a blend, or even for them to just realize that not all of these sounds are in the word. It's not to trick them, it's just to get them to actually hear only those 3 sounds. But of course, with 4 sounds, you could have them do the word clap. You repeat, clap. K-l-a-p. Clap. This one has 4 sounds. Now you can do this with any type of manipulative. Those were cubes. Construction paper is really easy like this, just different color squares. And you could tell students the same thing. Okay, I'm going to say the word cop. You repeat, cop. Let's move up the paper for each sound we hear in the word. K-a-p. Cop. 3 sounds. Now you will notice either with construction paper or with cubes, I do like to try to keep each sound have its own color. And I like to do that because as things progress, you could do an activity like this one. You could give them a couple for each, right? Give them a couple different colors. This could be cubes as well. And you could have them do the same thing. You're going to say, I'm going to say the word cop. You repeat after me, cop. They will move up a paper for each sound. K-a-p. Now, if we're going to do some sort of phoneme manipulation where we change sounds, I would say, can you change the k sound to p? And students would notice if each paper, which you would teach them, each paper can only have 1 sound, they would remove k and add p. Here, we recognize these have the same sounds, right? P-a-p. Pop. So I do like to keep each sound to its own color, so that way as we progress through skills, we can do an activity like this one. Tip number 4 when teaching phonemic awareness to your students is to use the gradual release model. Now the gradual release model is better known as I do, we do, you do. And I kind of gave you an example with that last one where I'm sharing how to do it aloud first. But with any new phonemic awareness activity, so whether it's a new activity or it's a new skill, you want to make sure you spend that time modeling how to do the activity first. For example, let's pretend we are working on some phoneme manipulation, which is a more advanced phonemic awareness skill. And let's start with CVC words. So here's what that would look like. I'm going to say the word cap. You say it? Cap. I'm going to change that k in cap to t. So instead of k app, now it's t app tap. Can you guys try that? T app tap. Now we have the word tap. Can you say that again? Tap. Can you change the t app, the t sound, to app? Notice how I didn't say map there, I just did the motion of putting my hands together. If my students didn't say map, or if most of them didn't say it, I would of course give them app, map. I would model it again. If most of my students got it, I would take that as a hint to keep moving on and keep doing this we portion together. So the I do portion was me telling them exactly how to change that k to the t to make cap into tap. And now I'm seeing if they can change tap into map. As I'm doing this, I'm also providing them with the hand motion so they can see, and I'm actually even already giving them the onset and rhyme, app, map, to put together, instead of just asking them to do it without that part, instead of just saying, okay, change t to I'm giving them a little more guidance by giving them the onset and the rhyme instead of having them do it just independently. Once I hear that my students are able to, or most of them are producing the correct word next on the phoneme ladder, then I will just ask them to do it independently. Then I can say, good, we have the word map. Repeat, map. Can you change the sound to s? And then that's them doing it independently. I didn't give them any onset rhyme. I didn't kind of do it for them. I'm just asking them to think about that phoneme, see if they can change the to s. So again, with each new phonemic awareness activity that you're teaching, and with each new skill like CVC words to consonant blends to diphthongs, whatever you're working on, you always want to make sure you use that gradual release model. I do, we do, and then you do. And tip number 5 to keep top of mind when teaching phonemic awareness activities is to make sure you start with the sounds first before moving to letters. Now, we do know phonemic awareness focuses on the sound and that the primary focus, revert back to tip number 1, should be where those phonemes are made in the mouth, but that doesn't mean you want to discount graphemes entirely. In fact, in the letters training that I took this past summer, it was talked about how we do want to introduce those graphemes to the phonemes with our students. In fact, introducing the graphemes actually strengthens students' phonemic knowledge and phonemic awareness, with the caveat that we need to do sounds first. Only when our students are proficient or mostly proficient with the sounds in phonemic awareness activities, then you can go ahead and do these same activities, but introduce the graphemes as well. Largely, this is going to look and sound exactly the same as any phonemic awareness activities you would do without graphemes, but this time some letter tiles or just writing on the board is going to help. For example, let's pretend we're doing phoneme manipulation again, where we're kind of changing out different sounds, but let's do it with beginning consonant blends. So here I would tell my students, all right, everybody, what word is this? Because if we're introducing graphemes, we would assume they could read this word by now, they could blend it. So they would say clap. Good, clap. Now can we change the k sound to s? What do we have to do here? And then my students would say, okay, I think we need to change the k, the C, or again, I would guide them through this. We would change that C to the S sound. What letter makes S? And we would put an S there, slap. Good, everyone say slap, slap. Now can we change the S sound to F? What do we need to change? And again, my students, either with or without my guidance, would change that S to a F, flap. So two things are equally true at the same time, right? Number 1, it is very important to focus on the phoneme, the sound first, especially where it's made in the mouth, but that doesn't mean we entirely discount the graphemes. We do need to make that connection. We just want to make sure the sound is the primary focus. And again, just to tie in another tip, if you're keeping this quick and doing it 5 to 10 minutes every day, it should be easy to kind of sprinkle in just the auditory ones and then go ahead and add in some letters later in the week, or whenever your students are developmentally ready for that. All right, so there you have 5 tips that you should always keep top of mind when you are teaching phonemic awareness to your students. I would love to know from you if any of these tips were a little eye-opening or things that you need to work on. My tip number 1, I already told you that was something I definitely didn't focus on a few years ago, especially where the sounds were made in the mouth. I think I was pretty good at knowing the sound needed to come first, and that was the primary focus, but not necessarily where it was made within the mouth. That's something that is newer to me and that I'm really taking into my classrooms now as I'm able to sub in all my K-2 classrooms. And I know I mentioned this at the beginning of the video, but definitely let me know if you want a video kind of walking through a progression of the different types of phonemic awareness activities. I can totally get that for you. As always, I do hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. Make sure you are subscribed to my channel and click that bell. That way you're notified of every new video. See you in the next one. Bye.